Good afternoon, financial professionals. My name is Josh Meester, RVP here at E4, welcoming you to the Brew, building relationships every week. Thank you for tuning in today. And for those of you joining the Brew for the first time, welcome, first and foremost. We always start our brewcasts by celebrating today's silly national days, and we have two on the docket today. First one being National Garfield the Cat Day. I remember he's orange, lazy, and chubby, so I guess we're giving everybody permission to take off work, go home, sit on the couch, be lazy, and watch some old cartoon reruns. The second one, much more straightforward and maybe a little more dangerous, National Martini Day. Again, I think people probably get behind that more than watching old cartoons, but as Brendan Durone, one of our managing partners, tries to do, combining the two, I think I got two pretty easy ones. Again, when you feel like you've put in a good day's work, go home, sit on the couch, watch some reruns of Garfield, eat some junk food, and then suck down a couple martinis. But in personal experience, maybe stop at two unless you plan on not being super productive tomorrow. So on today's brew, we continue Annuity Awareness Month with myself and E4's Director of Annuities, Doug Twiddy. We're going to be discussing an advisor's recent success as he has been capitalizing on higher interest rates and COLA riders to provide certain income in uncertain environments. We encourage you to use the chat box or raise your hand to ask questions throughout. All attendees are entered in a drawing in which you will get a CE voucher and Starbucks gift card, which we will announce at the end of the brew. Thanks for tuning in, and Doug, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me again, kicking the month off or keeping it going.
We love Annuity Month, and Doug loves Annuity Month. So just to kind of tee this up, this is, call it a live, I don't want to say case study because we've had numerous success across the board, multiple clients, multiple relationships. It all kind of started going back to February of 2024 so roughly 4 months ago. Started getting some inquiries from one particular advisor in his office, looking at specifically income annuities. They were aware that rates were high, and this concept or idea had kind of been floating around their head for a little while. They had never fully attacked it just because of rates. So he swung back around. We started playing with some numbers, and lo and behold, business started rolling in. So to date, we just ran these numbers. He has done or put through 30 applications. Again, this is the last 4 months, so 30 apps. We have moved 12.5 million of premium, and it came out to about 421,000 of an average ticket size. So I just want to reiterate that because I think those numbers are impressive in themselves. 30 apps, 12.5 million of premium, and an average ticket of 421,000. That's what we've seen. That is
4 months.
In 4 months, that is not made up. We didn't inflate those numbers. Those are true, and I think speaks to this concept and just this advisor's mindset of how he's approaching his clients and how much success he has. He's not shooting quite 100%. Doug and I spoke with him before doing this, who shoots 100%, let's face it. But he did mention he has only had, did he say, Doug, three, 4, or 5? It was even two. There's two clients that he's talked through what we'll talk about here in a minute that said no. And he said, you know what, Josh and Doug, it was just one of those deals. The clients hated annuities. They didn't necessarily hate the concept. They were just in that boat of annuity, stay away. And we know some of those people are out there, but his hitting rate is up there. We have pending cases in house still today, with I know more coming. So maybe strike while iron's hot if something we'll talk about here today resonates with you. To speak a little bit about this advisor in their office, he's been around for a long time, I believe 30 plus years. Highly engaged in all things. He's not hyper focused in just annuities. Obviously, he's crushing it this year, but he's a big life guy. DI, link benefit, LTC. He is a money manager as well. I want to point out, his experience and just knowledge. I honestly sometimes lean on him. So it's a trusted advisor. I just want to put that out there. This isn't something Josh Meester went to him with some harebrained idea. So just kind of teeing that up. Those are some of the numbers we've seen already year to date here. Going into a little bit of the clients, because everybody likes to know somewhat of a target market. Not a shocker. Most of these people are either entering retirement or already there. There is an RMD piece to this. So again, he's targeting people that are maybe 1, 2, 3 years out from their RMD starting. And on the flip side, it has worked for people who are already in that phase. Leaning more towards the RMD side of this, most of the money is IRA. I think probably 95% of that premium we moved have been IRA, because what the advisor is essentially doing with his own calculations, he's kind of backing into solving for roughly 50% of what he projects the RMD to be. And we're then using a guaranteed income annuity for that vehicle. Knowing they're heading into retirement or already in retirement, speaking to the clients, obviously the portfolio as it stood today or before, introducing the income annuity, decently balanced. He said a lot of it was bonds and treasuries, being safer. Again, knowing the clients are either heading in or in retirement, can't be overly aggressive with it. So I just want to bring that up. And high level and very simple, he's just suggesting to these clients that they take a piece of that IRA or IRA account, move it over to a guaranteed income annuity. And in his head, and Doug, tell me if I'm wrong, in his head, it's kind of taken the piece that he would have already had in kind of the bond or treasury portfolio, correct?
Yeah, so I think from talking to them, their idea was in managing the funds, of course, you put a certain percentage in equities and you put a certain percentage into a bond portfolio. And obviously, money managers like to aggressively manage. So with this idea, they know that they're going to have some money that is secure. And with the interest rate environment that we have today, we can provide really good returns with guaranteed stability. And if we know what the RMDs are going to be, we know what they're going to be required to take. We can move a little bit of the money to the side and get half of the RMD requirement without having to touch the rest of the managed portfolio quite as harshly. And also, since we're really securing some of that, it allows them to more aggressively, if they want, it allows them to more aggressively manage the rest of the portfolio.
That piece. Yep.
And they have a calculator that they had put together for their firm. Obviously, for compliance purposes, they couldn't release that to us, which is perfectly fine because we are very good at building our own
we
calculators.
We have Doug. That is at 100% true, and we'll move into that shortly. Just to wrap up some of the bullet points, I do want to add that they are putting 5% COLA riders on these. They essentially want that income stream to grow, essentially to mimic, call it, the portfolio growth. So that is one aspect I just wanted to bring up. And then I'm glad Doug just brought up the word stability because, again, speaking with the advisor and his team, one thing that they made very clear is taking the piece of the IRA account, moving it to the guaranteed income stream. It does provide, in his own mind and their clients' minds, stability and predictability. And words like that at E4 are words I would say touch on a lot. If it's an annuity with guaranteed lifetime income, or if it's on the life side with a guaranteed death benefit, we really love having pieces of our clients' plans predictable and stable, because at the end of the day, they really help prop up the rest of it. And Doug touched on this as well. Kind of the final thought from the advisor was, knowing what I have in place, I now can be more aggressive in that portfolio with the remaining funds. So that's kind of the high level concept I wanted to touch on or tee it up with, Doug. Obviously, you just spoke a little bit as well. Was there anything else that, before we jump into the more analytical piece
Yeah.
of it, that you wanna touch on or bring up for the audience?
Yeah, so I'll say three other things real quick. Part of the 5% COLA adjustment on the income is hopeful, that we'll have some growth in the portfolio. But it's also, as people get older, the RMD divisor goes down, which means the percentage of money you have to take out of your portfolio goes up. So if the balance is going up and the percentage required to come out is going up, we really need the 5% COLA on the income. And when talking to the advisor, I wrote down two things that he said on his reason for liking the strategy. He said that it provides a great balance with stability and flexibility for them, and it allows them to take a longer term approach in equities because we're guaranteeing things for the next 10 years. So I'm going to go ahead and, we just put this together in the last couple of days, so it is just it's not all prettied up, but it does work.
Give yourself credit. I would have been working on this for the next year.
um, so as Josh said, we're looking at a client, so we can put in a date of birth, and it's going to tell us, of course, what their age is now. It's going to let us know what their year-end age is, because that's important for the RMD part of this. The RMD start age changes depending on the year you were born. So this is going to let us know what that start year is and automatically take it into consideration. And then just to show it to us, let us know what year the RMD should start. So the advisor is having the income, of course, defer until the year of RMD requirement. And he's typically starting it on January 1st of that year and just providing monthly income. So in this scenario, I put in 6/18/54, so 70-year-old starting RMDs in 3 years, and they have a qualified account balance right now of 5 million. And then we've sort of thrown in the advisor just uses a 5% basic rate of return. I wanted to take it a step further just because that's what I like to do. And this allows you to decide if we're taking this strategy, what percentage of the overall balance do you want to put in equities and what percent do you want to put in bonds? And I did that because he said that it allows them to take that longer term approach in equities. It allows them to be a little bit more aggressive. So maybe if without this strategy and you're just fully managing the entire account, maybe you're doing 60/40, but if we can secure a little bit of it, maybe you'll do 65% equities or 70, or whatever it is you want to do. This allows us to change those rates. And then, of course, what type of return do you expect to get from equities and bonds? And I've already run a scenario, so I'm going to leave these numbers where they are. But put in this info in, right, with a $5 million balance set up this way, going out 3 years. There's a calculation in the background that tries to determine what the RMD should be after all that growth at age 73. And it calculates us, it gives us a premium to start with for running the DIA calculation. So it's telling us to run 1,033,000. I already ran the illustration, and it shows an income of 12,255. And now that we've got that's very specific as a per thousand payout for this client, now we can come up here and kind of play with numbers if we want to. But without looking at this, right, without a SPIA, if all you're doing is managing the account at 60/40 with 7% return in equities and 4% return in bonds, I just want to point out at the very end, you can see that the total value between the ending balance and the income, ooh, that is not doing it, is it? Sorry about that, guys. Guess I made a change on calculation. So we can see a total value at the end of it. And then we can turn it on and also see sort of what it looks like going through, right? So without using the DIA, I'll just type the number in so we can keep looking at it, right? So it's a $14,670,000 value with income and an ending balance. And if we turn the DIA, I shouldn't have called it a SPIA. If we turn the DIA on, you can see it pulls money out of the managed account, right? Funds the SPIA. And where this really comes in, right? The reason we're using a 10-year payout is because if we keep it down to that shorter level, we're getting much more money out of it than we need.
Yep.
And because of recent changes with the Secure Act, they now allow us to calculate that excess income and use it as RMD requirements from other managed funds. So in our first year here, we're taking 147,000. We're just looking at the future value of the annuity over time, and we're using that number and against the divisor to determine the RMD requirement. So the RMD requirement off of the balance of the DIA is only 69,000, but we're taking 147. Right, so we've got $77,000 of excess income. So on the managed portfolio side, the RMD requirement of the managed account is 185,000. But now instead of draining that managed portfolio by another 185,000, you only have to take 107,000 out of it because we've already got the excess over here, and now everything has been fully satisfied. And as Josh said, he's trying to solve for half of the total RMD to come out of the SPIA. So this is where we just kind of threw in what the SPIA times 2, and we can see the difference. So we're pretty close, but this is where it allows us to go in here and modify. Maybe we decrease the actual SPIA amount so that we're not over funding, and it leaves a little bit more money in the managed account. But then you can plug this type of stuff back into whatever software that you're using to manage them in the long run. So at $1 million, so we could probably even go down further than that, right? We just play around with it. So now we're a little bit closer to being right on where we want to be. We're leaving more money in the managed account. And now at the end, we've got $15.5 million of total value, right? An ending balance at 2.9 and income of 12.5 million compared to not using this strategy. And the value is 14,600,000. So we added $1 million in value by really taking advantage of the interest rate environment that we have today and securing some of that money, not affecting the RMDs coming out of the managed portfolio, hopefully letting you manage it a little bit more aggressively if you want. But that's the idea behind what he's doing. And he has written, what'd you say, Josh? 30 policies and 12 point some million dollars in 4 months just by showing this to clients. Now, not showing this, he's got something else that but it's the same idea. He's showing this idea to clients, and they're all over it, except for the 2 that were just totally against annuities.
Those 2. And I know a lot of you on the call and just a lot of you that might be listening on the recording, the majority of the advisors I work with are doing the money management of it. So, maybe this resonates with you. Maybe you feel like you have a little bit more control, and hopefully some of these numbers make sense to you. And obviously at the end of the day, just give your client the overall, best long-term plan possible. So we will leave it at that. We can obviously take any questions if you want to throw them in the chat box or just unmute yourselves. But while we do that, I'd just like to remind everybody that today's brew and full library are recorded and shared on the brew blog on E4's website, www.e4.insurance. And today's exact brew, it's obviously not out there right now, but it will be coming out later on the site, and we will email that out to everybody as well. So I'm not seeing any questions for now. So Doug, could you pick a number between 1 and 25?
Between 1 and 25. Let's go with 23.
23. Who is the winner? We got Adam Gallant is today's winner. Thank you, Adam, for joining us today and listening. You can look for an email with the CE voucher and Starbucks gift card coming from all of us at E4 over here. So again, thank you for everybody joining. Next week, we will wrap up June and Annuity Awareness Month with yet again Doug Twiddy, and then our new Senior Vice President of Sales, Phil Hogg. They're going to just conclude with more or less a wrap up of everything we've talked about through the June series and put the final touches on all these sales successes we've had in this space throughout the month. So thank you, everyone. We will see you next week on The Brew.